From the nation's capital to here in New York City, protesters took to the streets over the weekend after the U.S. Supreme Court's landmark decision to overturn Roe v. Wade.
So a large group of protesters gathered in Union Square on Saturday to share their frustration and anger at the High Court's ruling. So what impact will the decision have on the communities in our area? We're joined this morning by Bronx Congressman Ritchie Torres. Nice to have you back on Good Day New York.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So, Congressman, does this ruling affect anything here in New York, any of the abortion laws here in New York?
Well, New York will continue to have a right to an abortion, but it will increase demand for reproductive services here in New York because we're likely to have refugees from states that will likely prohibit abortion. But the reversal of Roe is an extreme shock to the system. The decision is so extreme that it will open the door to the criminalization of abortion elsewhere in the country. It will open the door to blanket bans even in cases of rape and incest, even in cases where a woman's health is at risk. Former Vice President Mike Pence has called for a national ban on abortion, and Justice Clarence Thomas has called for the overruling of cases protecting the rights of privacy, the right to use contraception, the right to sexual intimacy, the right to marriage equality, all of which matters to those of us here in New York. So the decision will have consequences far beyond reproductive rights.
So what will you be doing in D.C.?
Well, in the House, we passed the Women's Health Protection Act, which would codify the right to choose in federal law. And so we're waiting for the Senate to pass it. And we will make every effort to prevent a national ban on abortion from ever becoming law. You know, the midterms in November have taken on new urgency because there's no doubt in my mind that there will be a concerted effort by the Republican Party to impose a national ban on abortion. Mike Pence said as much, and Mitch McConnell has signaled openness to pursuing a national ban.
And Congressman, a lot of folks say this shouldn't necessarily have come as a surprise. I mean, once this conservative court got its 6 judges on there, why is this a surprise? Has this come as a surprise to anyone in legislation on the Democratic side? It seems like this is something that the conservative movement has been building toward for decades.
Yes, but we're in a state of shock because we never thought that a woman in 2022 would have less control over her own body and her own destiny than she would have had in 1973. We are witnessing the Supreme Court turning back the clock a half a century. The Supreme Court has deprived a woman of a right that has been established since 1973. So that's naturally going to be a shock to the conscience of most Americans.
And you've described this as extreme action, and some constituents, Democrats, have said, why not take extreme action on the other side? Vote to increase the size of the Supreme Court, take some of those more substantial measures that had been talked about but had been considered too far out of bounds. Do you see that as a possibility now if, as you've described it, the other side has taken extreme action?
I see no evidence that there are enough votes in the Senate or even in the House to support the expansion of the Supreme Court. But there's no question that the Republican Party has politicized the court to achieve change in the courtroom that could never be achieved at the ballot box, and we're all paying a heavy price for it.
All right, let's talk about another SCOTUS decision, the concealed carry here in New York. I know the mayor is very upset about this. He was on our show on Monday. You live in the Bronx. You know what the crime situation is in the Bronx. We don't have to rub it in any more than what's going on. Do you really feel that this new law will embolden criminals to legally buy a gun?
The decision will lead to more guns in New York City, and wherever there's more guns, there tends to be more gun violence. The United States has more gun violence than the rest of the industrialized world because we have more guns. We make up 4% of the world's population, but 40% of the world's guns. Before the court's decision, in order to obtain a permit, you had to demonstrate proper cause. You had to demonstrate.
I know, but look at what we're dealing with in New York City. It's almost like the Wild West.
It can get much worse. The Supreme Court has made it so that masses of people can carry firearms in public in a city as densely populated as New York City. That's a situation we've never had before, and there's no telling what implications it will have for public safety. And I worry about people bringing firearms to bars. There could be people in a moment of rashness and drunken rage who decide to resolve a dispute not with their fists but with their firearms. Alcohol and guns are a combustible combination.
A lot of possibilities still there. A lot of discussion still has to come on what could be considered sort of safe zones where those won't be allowed. Congressman, if we can just quickly go back to something that you said before, because a lot of people are talking about this. There is concern about the Supreme Court taking action on potentially gay marriage, as well as something like contraception, which has been widely accepted on both sides. What are you hearing? What are the possibilities there?
So Clarence Thomas is on a crusade against a legal doctrine on a substantive due process, which protects the right to privacy, the right to use contraception, the right to sexual intimacy, the right to marriage equality. Clarence Thomas is intent on declaring war on all of those rights.
Do you think that could actually happen? I mean, do you think that there would actually be the momentum to make that happen?
It's not clear. It's not clear whether Kavanaugh and Gorsuch are willing to jump on their bandwagon. I suspect that Justice Alito would support overturning Obergefell on Lawrence versus Texas because he's been publicly critical of those decisions. But keep in mind, Justice Gorsuch a few years ago actually had a pro-LGBTQ vote. He voted to protect LGBTQ people from discrimination on matters of employment. So he might be resistant to overturning the landmark LGBTQ case, Obergefell versus Hodges, which protected marriage equality.
All right. We appreciate you, Congressman Ritchie Torres, for coming on Good Day New York. Good luck in D.C.
Take care.